You buy a bag without thinking. You slice one into a pan, your eyes sting for a minute, and then you forget about it. But this ordinary vegetable has bankrupted farmers, decided national elections, and forced governments into crisis. To see how a root vegetable gained that kind of leverage, we have to look back at the primary barrier to early human survival: food spoils. Catch a fish in the morning and it rots by nightfall. Pick a piece of fruit and you have to eat it fast or lose it. When you cannot store calories, you cannot plan. Travelers crossing a desert would starve halfway through their journey, surrounded by food that had already turned to mush. Entire villages lived meal to meal, fearing the next empty season. Early civilizations faced a clear existential problem. They needed a food source that cost almost nothing, grew in poor soil, and, above all else, could survive months of storage without rotting. Human expansion was strictly limited by the biological lifespan of its harvest. To spread across continents and survive winter, humanity required a biological safety net that simply would not fail. The answer was hiding in the dry, rough terrain of Central Asia. Long before anyone thought to plant them, small wild onions were pushing up through the dirt on their own. These bulbs are exceptionally tough. They survive freezing cold, they handle blistering heat, and if you keep them dry, they can sit in storage for months without spoiling. Early foragers didn't domesticate the onion for its flavor. They planted it because it was dependable. If the wheat died or the hunt came up empty, you could still walk to your patch and pull up a meal. Choosing to cultivate this stubborn little plant gave humans a reliable, long-term calorie reserve, our first major victory over the barrier of decay. A storable food supply is what allows large groups of people to stay in one place. Before a society can raise monuments, it has to survive the lean months when nothing grows. During the construction of the Egyptian pyramids, thousands of laborers moved heavy stones day after day under the blazing sun. To maintain that level of physical output, the workers were fueled by a diet of bread, thick beer, and sharp, fresh onions. The Egyptians elevated the crop to a mythological status. They looked at the endless concentric rings inside the bulb and saw a symbol of eternity. When scientists examined the mummy of Pharaoh Ramses IV, they found small onions placed in his eye sockets to guide him into the afterlife. This durability made it the ideal military ration, too. Roman soldiers marched with them, and during the American Civil War, General Ulysses S. Grant refused to move his army another step until he was supplied with onions to keep his men healthy. Weapons win individual battles, but logistics win wars. By solving the problem of long-distance food storage, the onion became the ultimate logistical tool of the ancient world. By the Middle Ages, universal demand and a long shelf life gave the vegetable a new kind of utility. In parts of Europe, they were so trusted and widely traded that people even used them as a form of currency to pay their rent. That intrinsic value eventually attracted speculators. In 1950 Chicago, onions were one of the most heavily traded products on the commodities exchange. Two traders hatched a plan to exploit that market by cornering nearly the entire American supply. This chart shows how they executed the trap. They quietly bought up 98. Because of the chaos caused by those two traders, the onion is uniquely restricted by law. To this day, it remains the only agricultural product in the United States that you are legally banned from trading on the futures market. Today, global demand is higher than ever. India and China now grow more than half of the world's supply, producing over 100 million tons every year. For billions of people, it is a daily, inescapable staple. In India, that demand means any price hike hits families instantly. When costs shoot up, public anger can decide elections. Protesters have even taken to wearing onions as necklaces to mock the government's failure to keep them affordable. To protect their own citizens, the Indian government will enact sudden bans on exporting the crop. When that happens, neighboring countries like Bangladesh and Nepal see their own onion prices double overnight, sending economic shockwaves across borders. The Indian government now treats the vegetable as a strategic resource. It maintains vast national reserves, hundreds of thousands of tons, ready to be released the moment prices begin to spike. When a modern society relies entirely on a single commodity, minor supply disruptions escalate rapidly from a kitchen inconvenience into a matter of national security. This brings us back to your kitchen. The geopolitical tension and financial regulations all stem from the exact same bulb you're slicing for dinner. And as for those tears, it's just chemistry. When your knife breaks the cell walls, isolated chemicals mix and release a defensive gas. When that gas hits the moisture in your eyes, it creates a very weak acid, and your eyes flush it out. The plant isn't being cruel, it's just defending itself. That is the same biological stubbornness that allowed the wild shoot to survive in harsh deserts thousands of years ago. Ancient kings and modern governments alike shared a single dependency. The onion became powerful not because it was rare, but because it was necessary, an invisible keystone that allowed our civilization to endure. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind this everyday object, hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what everyday item we should investigate next.